From the Kansas City Sports Update Studio, this is the Richard Smith Show, where we talk about all things Kansas City Chiefs, brought to you by Arrowhead Update. Don't forget to check out our Royals Update podcast with Kevin Monk. Check us out on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Spreaker Player FM, YouTube, and all third-party applications. Also check us out on all major social media platforms. And if you can't find us there, just Google The Richard Smith Show and Kansas City Chiefs, and I promise you will find it. Let's talk Chiefs.
Last, I want to thank Chiefs Kingdom. Exactly. Your passion and love is unmatched. You're here no matter when and where. This is just the beginning. We have a long ways to go. Thank you.
How are we doing, Chiefs Kingdom? It is Friday, May 31st, and we are here to talk Chiefs, and that little introduction with Patrick Mahomes is just the start of our show tonight because we are talking offense tonight. And joining me tonight, I have none other than Bull Rider and Rainbow Trout. Oh, I'm just kidding. I got my main guys here, man. I got Ryan Reed and Brent Lawler here with me. How are we doing tonight, guys?
Oh, doing good, man. Being that bull rider, you know.
I'm not sure what this bull riding comments are about, but I'm doing good down here in Houston. It's good to see or hear from you guys again.
Nice.
How's the rainbow trout there in Houston?
Yeah, the fishing good down there in Houston?
Non-existent.
Hey, look, the score's 4-0. Tilton in the away Mahomes and this other home Mahomes jersey here. And I know the audience doesn't have any idea what we're talking about, but I just want to fill you all in on something. We're going to play a little game from here on out. And maybe we can get the audience involved because we're throwing in some keywords here before the show that we have to get off before the end of the show. And apparently we couldn't wait to get a minute into the show to really jump in head first with that. So, hey, Rainbow Trout, Bull Rider, this is what it is. You know what I mean? Times
I got to
two.
tell you, I'm very disappointed in both of your lack of creativity. No style points at all.
No style points. Brent, what do you think? No style points.
Hey,
Yeah.
you guys
Bull riding
sit
ain't
tight.
style,
I'll show
man.
you
You
how
just
this
get on
is done.
the chair and
Make
you
sure
go for it. 8 seconds.
I have no idea what either of you just said.
I said bull riding isn't flashy. It's not creative, man. You hop on that steer and you ride for 8 seconds. Somebody from Texas would know that.
Hey, fair enough. Off the Bull Rider and Rainbow Trout talk because we got to talk some football. That's just a little side game. We definitely jumped in deep in with that. But hey, look, to start off the show, the Chiefs signed a tight end. Was it yesterday afternoon? Nick Keizer from Baltimore. And he's really just a third and short type of run blocking depth tight end for us. But what do you guys? What's your take, Brent, on Nick Keizer? Do you know anything about him, Keizer?
I know he spent the last 2 years, I think, on the practice squad, or maybe last year on the practice squad with the Baltimore Ravens. Good enough to make a Raven squad, as far as practice squad player. But yeah, we're kind of banged up at the tight end position. Kelsey's had that surgery, I think, back in March. Something's going on with another guy we have on the roster, Yoder. And, the only person in there is Blake Bell, from Oklahoma. And so, we've got to get another body in there. And so we just released Phillips a couple days ago. So, some of these guys are camp bodies. But, hey, in this offense with Mahomes, you can shine. You can, somebody's got to step up. I think that's one of the keys in this offense is if, right now it's Kelsey. And who else do you got after that? So we've got to find another tight end, and we let Harris walk. So we've got to find somebody.
Right. And yeah, you're right on the money with that, and it really is some depth and maybe looking into the future. But I just want to touch base on our newest acquisition, who really is just a piece to depth chart, and really move it on here. Ryan, what's your take on Eric Bieniemy? Since this man has taken over, there's been a different approach to the offense, and I'm interested to get Ryan Reed's take on Eric Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy. I don't know if you're going to like how I take off on this, but His success, it's definitely due to hard work, his knowledge of the game. I definitely see a passion. Even when he played, you guys, sure you remember he used to be a running back. But let's be honest here. I'm going to name off some names, and I want you to tell me what they have in common. John Harbaugh, Todd Bowles, Doug Peterson, Sean McDermott, Matt Nagy, Brad Childress, Pat Shurmur.
They've all been under Andy Reid?
It's Andy Reid's coaching tree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to take away from Eric Bieniemy, but let's be honest here. Andy Reid is a great coach of players. Man, he's a great coach of coaches, too. So, as much as I'd like to say, it's all Eric Bieniemy, you've got to give credit to Andy Reid. He's been doing it for 19 years now as a head coach. The other thing that might not be known, but 25% of the head coaches in the NFL right now are basically from the Andy Reid tree.
Yes,
I mean, put that
very
in
true.
perspective. 25% is under Andy Reid. So, yes, I like Bieniemy. I think he works great with our offense, but I'm still going to put that under Andy Reid, my opinion.
And I think Andy Reid definitely calls the shots at the beginning, middle, and end of the day. But Brent,
go ahead,
Brent, what's your take on it?
Well, I was going to say, definitely you got to give Andy Reid credit, but man, he comes from Mike Holmgren. If you remember right, the former Packers and Seahawks coach, and they go back to George Seifert days, and from the San Francisco 49ers. So, it's it's definitely a good coaching tree, and definitely some championships in that coach's world right there.
For all you younger fans out there that aren't familiar with who George Seifert was, like this man is a legend, and was a legend. Didn't he created the West Coast offense? Didn't he?
Well, I think it's the one before him. Oh man, I can't think of his name. George Walsh.
Walsh. Yep. Bill Walsh.
Yeah. Walsh
Bill
was
Walsh,
the one that
yeah.
brought in Joe Montana to San Francisco and kind of blew the league out with their new style West Coast offense. But yeah,
But
George Seifert was more defense.
and he was kind of grandfathered into the Bill Walsh era of football, and for Andy Reid to come from that and the tree to be branching out the way it is, you're absolutely right about that. The Andy Reid tree is huge in the NFL, and if you notice, the teams that have coaches from that tree, they're successful. Most of them are successful and are contenders. I'd like to say that it's nice to see that and see that tree get spread out. It's inevitable, but I sure hate to have that come back and bite us in the butt in the long run. And let's just keep all those guys over in the NFC and we'll be all right. So, moving on, let's talk a little bit of offensive line. And this is something that, let's be honest, in Chiefs Kingdom, as a fan, we don't really talk about the offensive line that much. And it's really kind of a silent part of the NFL scheme. And I think one of the biggest arguments in Chiefs Kingdom for a few years now has been Eric Fisher. Brent, what is your take on Eric Fisher?
I like Eric Fisher. I do. I see a guy that has been improving year in, year out, since he was drafted. I mean, let's face it, he's the number one overall pick in 2013 and probably what is considered the most disappointing draft in the National Football League. So if you look at that draft, there's about 2 or 3 players that came out of the first round still playing today. But, at that time, they weren't number one draft quality, overall. I'm not a big fan of taking a big offensive tackle in the first round anyway. I mean, it's not a sexy pick. It's not a flashy pick. And, someone who is number one, I mean, let's face it, the Chiefs were coming off a horrible year. And we won't go into all that. And, here they get the number one draft pick, and then they release their general manager and head coach, and in comes Dorsey and Reed. And, at that time, Reed didn't have much notes, and everything. And so it came down to Eric Fisher or Luke Jokel. And, Eric Fisher, we picked Eric Fisher, number one. And, at number one, you want a guy that's, 6 years now? You want a guy that's, going to be a Pro Bowl every single year at the number one draft pick. Unfortunately, Eric hasn't done that. He's had a slow progression. he made the Pro Bowl this year, and some people are arguing, no, he's not warranted. He didn't earn it. But I look back at the numbers and the stats. The guy had 74 starts in 5 years at the left tackle position. He's consistent. He gets better every year. If you look at the stats, is he flashy? No. Does he struggle? Yes, he has some weaknesses, but he solidified that left tackle position. Now, on the other side, we've gone through several right tackle positions in that. Now it seems like Schwartz has stepped in the last couple years, and he's solidified the right tackle. So what are we going to do? If you're going to release Eric Fisher because you don't like him, there ain't nobody out there that's better. There's nobody in the free agency or anybody you're going to draft. I mean, if no one's going to draft their left tackle who's better than Fisher. So, for as far as I'm concerned, you got to keep him. And so, he didn't do too bad last year. So that's my point on Eric Fisher.
With Eric, my thing is, I think that Eric Fisher's back was up against the wall from the beginning, because when you're a first-round pick and the like you said, a very good point, most disappointing NFL draft probably in the history of the draft. But when you're a left tackle getting drafted number 1 in the draft, I mean, the fans are disappointed. You're not really one of those players that's ever going to be highly favored because of that scenario. We had a first-round pick, and we went with Eric Fisher.
Well, and the number 2 pick, left tackle, doesn't even play in the league anymore.
Yeah, very true.
So we could have been that guy and trying to find another left tackle.
Yeah.
I want to jump in real quick. Me and Brent talked about this earlier. I think you misunderstood my thing about Eric Fisher. I can't say I hate the guy. But when you draft somebody number 1 overall, and it's going to be a project who's not ready to play yet, it's a quarterback or nothing. You don't do that with an offensive line. First round, overall, first pick, he needs to be ready, plug and play now.
But I think he played.
That was why I said it was a bad pick.
Starter. I think he was day 1 starter that year.
But we're also looking at him protecting. Look, that was a stab in the dark for the Kansas City Chiefs because we were trying to fix a horrible situation with Matt Castle. And we went about the approach the wrong. Instead of replacing Matt Castle and eating that ridiculous contract that we gave him, we drafted a tackle, a right tackle, first overall. But moving on from Eric Fisher, he's working out. It's our offensive line's gelling. Brent, I'm going to stay with you on this next question. Andrew Wiley moved from left guard to right guard. Who's going to replace Wiley at right guard? Because Wiley is a great player, and so our concern really isn't left guard anymore. So what's going on with right guard? Where are we at?
I think Laurent Duvernay-Tardif is going to be the one that steps in there at right guard. I mean, you got to look, man, that guy was actually doing pretty good up until the Jackson game last year, and he broke his leg. And he was out for the year, and I think they brought him back. I think it was the New England Patriots game, his first game. I'm not sure if he played. I can't remember. But, he was doing pretty good. So I think he's going to step in there and be the starter. We also have Cam Irving, who filled in nicely last year. He's coming off some off-season surgery. So, I think it's going to be the doctor, LDT, that's going to start on the right guard, Wiley on the left guard.
And now the biggest question, I'm going to shift gears here over to Ryan. You brought up Tardif, and that's where I'm going to go with it next year. And Ryan, what's your take on Tardif returning from this broken leg? Do you think he's going to have the same impact on the offensive line as before? Because that's a pretty massive injury to come back from. That's a lot of pressure on your legs every single play, protecting the quarterback. You think he'll be in the same form as last year?
He returns healthy. He makes a bigger impact. The guy's a medical doctor. Of course he's going to know how to rehab his leg, and he's going to come back stronger. I think he's going to come back with a bigger impact. How can you not like the guy? He's big, he's strong, but as an offensive lineman, what's more important is the guy's smart. How do you get any smarter than medical school and playing in the NFL at the same time? I mean, you got to love the guy.
He's got a motor, in a brain and in the body. This man is definitely something special. And now that you say that, I never thought about the fact that the man is a doctor, and if he's gonna have the best outcome, it's gonna be him, I guess, treating himself per se.
I think when he broke his leg last year, didn't they say that he was out there telling him what he did, what bone he broke, and he was diagnosing himself.
Which is awesome. I love that. He's like, trainers, get out of the way. I got this.
Well, overall, I think Patrick Mahomes is in very good hands as long as he's on our line. Even with him being injured last year, we did shuffle around, and we did pretty good. We get better with the doctor back in the lineup. I'm curious, Brent, you're good at this stuff. What do you think? You think he's going to be somebody we're going to see more running behind?
Who, LDT?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing about Andy Reid. People say he likes to run the ball, but he don't. He's a passing head coach. So I think we're going to see the same. I think that's sometimes what's frustrating with Andy Reid. We had Jamal Charles, and there were games. It's like, give him the ball, give Jamal the ball. Same with Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt would go into finish a game with 47 yards rushing, but he would have 150 yards catching and 2 scores. I mean, that's just the way Andy Reid's, coaches, and I don't think that's going to change. I mean, yeah, I see, Williams stepped up last year after we got rid of Spencer Ware pretty much after he got hurt. That experiment blew up, and again, I wasn't a big Spencer Ware fan, so that didn't shock me. And then Williams stepped in, and man, just didn't miss a beat in the running game and the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. So I think pick up a Carlos Hyde. Man, I think that's a good pickup. Carlos Hyde is a great, running back and catch the ball out of that backfield. Because to Andy, catching the ball out of the backfield is just as good as a run. If you get 4 or 5 yards on catching the ball on a screen pass or whatever, hey, we're going to do that. So, and I think that's what happens sometimes with Andy Reid. Late in games, close games, he throws the ball. It doesn't eat clock. And so I'm hoping maybe late in games this year we're running a little bit better.
I
hope that answers your question.
Here's my thing, and I want to touch base on this too, and I want Chiefs Kingdom to know this. Damian Williams has been named the starter for the Kansas City Chiefs. That happened within the last 48 hours, and I was going to bring that up later on in the show, but I'll go ahead and bring that up now. And Ryan, what's your take on Damian Williams being named the starter?
I think it's premature to get too excited about it. Nothing against Damian Williams. He stepped up when we needed him to last year. My biggest thing is, I'm going to go back to it, Andy Reid's a genius. It doesn't really matter which running back we put back there. The opposing defenses are worried about our passing game. They're worried about covering Tyreek Hill. They're worried about Kelsey. You throw in a few others in the mix this year, last year, the year before, no names. Of course that running game is going to open up. I also I'm a firm believer that once a player hits the field and he's confident in his teammates and he's confident in the scheme, his game automatically, subconsciously steps up to be better than what they probably are. I think there's something about it. Jimmy G with San Francisco is a great example. That whole team rallied around Jimmy G and became better. Not because he's an all-star, they just trusted him. I feel our running backs do that. I feel any of the Williams boys could fill in. I'm actually excited about Carlos Hyde. I think he ends up with the starting position at running back. I do. And I know that's an odd opinion, but he's got that veteran, mentality. He's got experience. He can catch. He can run. And I actually see the, what's the new running back we picked up? Thompson? Darwin Thompson?
Yeah, and then there's another guy, James
Irwin
Williams. Booby Williams.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those two leapfrogged Damian Williams from last year. I think Damian Williams was a plug and play. He did what he needed to do, but I don't see him as an all-star.
You need to go watch that AFC game against the Colts in the playoffs. Damian Williams, man, he was running over the Colts in that game.
And
I'm not taking it away from Damian Williams. He did good. But I think it's a product of the scheme and the team.
I'm personally on a level with Damian Williams where I feel like that it's going to be a running back by committee. Whatever fits the package and the scheme at that time, because Andy Reid's so versatile and his play calls and his packages that, I mean, we have a 3rd and goal. I feel like Hyde's going to be in over Williams. So it really just, like I said, in my mind, depends on the scheme. We're gonna switch gears here a little bit, and this is a question for both of you. I'm gonna take off on this here first. Taking a look at our skill set players, who will be the surprise skill set player on offense this year? And my personal pick, I'm going to take off on this. I can't remember the kid's name, but the quarterback from Princeton. We got an undrafted free agent from Princeton. He was the quarterback, but he's really, really versatile. And so he plays fullback, he plays tight end, he plays receiver. He really can be a centerpiece for the Kansas City Chiefs. So Ryan, go ahead and take off on what will be the big surprise on offense as far as skill set players this year.
Well, that's a tough one. I was really pleased with Pringle last year before he got hurt. That guy came out of nowhere. I like him. If he can stay healthy, look for him to make a splash. The other one, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I like DeMarcus Robinson.
Me too.
He might not be the best receiver we have. He might not be the fastest, the biggest. His chemistry with Patrick Mahomes is amazing to me. The preseason games we saw Patrick Mahomes and DeMarcus Robinson connecting on, man, I think that's something special and something to work off of there. I think he's getting lost in the mix with a bunch of good receivers we have. But those would be my 2 picks. You got the young guy from Georgia coming in. I like him too.
Oops, I kind of lost my connection here. Talking about the young cat from Georgia, McCole Hartman. Is another skill set player that's on, be big surprise on the offense this year. I'm sorry, everyone. We lost Brent and Ryan, so I'm going to continue the show. I don't know if they'll kick back in here. I'm not really sure what happened, but we were talking about the skill set players and who will be the big surprise on the offense. And
I see you both on my end.
And hey. Okay, moving on. Look, we had some audio problems, folks, and sometimes that happens here at Kansas City Sports Update and really all over the world, so blame us if you want to, but I'll take the blame. We're not going to blame it on Brent and Ryan, even though it was their computers. Anyway, look, taking a look at the drafted and undrafted players on the offensive side of the ball, Brent, in your opinion, which ones should we be keeping an eye on here in Chiefs Kingdom?
Well, I'll start with the line. Nick Algrady, man. I think this guy's going to solidify. I think eventually, I wouldn't be shocked if he's not our day one starter center. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, I know he's a 7th round pick, but have you seen the highlights on this guy? Wow. I'm kind of excited, and let's hope he don't have the concussion problems that Morris had. Wish him well in Buffalo, but man, that guy was gone 4 or 5 games a year. So I look to see that guy, step in as center sometime, either if not at the beginning of the season, maybe by the end of the season. Another guy that stands out, man, probably has the best nickname in the National Football League. That's James Booby Williams. I mean, you can't go wrong with a name like that, right? So,
well, I love it. I'm down here in Texas, so I know all about the Friday Night Lights.
Yes, I love that movie.
No, I love the movie. I love the TV show. Watched all seasons of it, But I think he's one you want to look at along with Darwin Thompson. I think those two are going to battle out for a spot on the line, on the running back situation. I disagree with you on Damian Williams. I think he's going to be our everyday back. And I know we've discussed that, but I think you got Carlos Hyde, and then after that, it's Derek Williams. You know what? We could have 3 Williams on this team in our running back if James Booby Williams, steps up. But Darwin Thomas, man, you go look at the highlights on him, man. He really flashes. And then the last one that I looked up right now is Felton Davis III. Man, we've got some wide receivers, but this guy was a wide receiver at Michigan State, man. He was doing really well, and I think he had a knee injury that just cut his college career short. He's rehabbed. But I think he might shine. I think he might take a surprise and go through there. So those are about the 4 names to look at in the training camp and preseason.
Awesome. And there's one on the defensive side of the ball that I know Ryan wants to touch base on because he's really making a splash in front of everybody. So Ryan, we'll go ahead and touch base on the defensive side of the ball. Take off on your guy here. What's up? What's up on defense?
You're going to let me have one defensive player in our offensive conversation. I really appreciate it. Kalen Saunders, love the guy. I think Spags wanted him for a long time, and he got his man. To be called the Aaron Donald of the FCS, that's big. And it wasn't just thrown around by nobodies. Even Spags is just on this guy. So I'm super excited. I mean, I would rather try to ride a bull than be tackled by him.
Nice.
Yeah, and no more flips, man. He can go fish for rainbow trout instead of doing those flips that we see online.
Oh, that backflip was amazing for a 325-pound boy. I got to tell you, that was awesome.
I got it until his knee goes the wrong way, and then he's gone for the year.
Yeah, we don't want that. Look, no backflip celebrations in the end zone for that guy.
He can go rainbow trout fishing.
Yeah, exactly. Look, he's got to stay away from bull riding, but rainbow trout fishing's okay. As long as he's fly fishing, no reel. It's fly fishing.
Don't tell Veach.
All right, so hey. So so we're talking about deep in the draft. We hit a little bit on the defensive side, even though that's kind of sacrilegious on this episode. I like Ryan that much. So, but here's where we stand. Look, Brett Veach is a genius. Where we hit is deep in the draft every year. So I feel like the Darwin Thompsons, I feel like the Saunders, I feel like these players that we're talking about, they can have a big impact on the Kansas City Chiefs straight out of the gate. And I don't know why, but I have a feeling with Darwin Thompson, there's a name that comes with that, and that's Darren Sproles. And I really hope that's Andy Reid's Darren Sproles again. And so I think that would be a really great compliment, to the Chiefs offense to have a running back with that versatility, speed, quickness, and size, because he's a smaller running back. So moving on here, this is a question for both of you. Ryan, I'm going to let you take off on this question. What excites you about this year's offense compared to last year's?
What excites me? Can I say Patrick Mahomes? Is that fair, or is that just low-hanging fruit?
No, absolutely fair.
You gotta love it. This will be his second full year at quarterback, and it's exciting. Just what he brings to not only Chiefs fans, but the whole NFL is excited. Even the ones who said they hate him, they can't keep from looking away. It's always something with this team, with him behind the center. I think having that but an additional year of being familiar with each other, with the offensive scheme, basically Andy Reid's direction and what he wants to take us in, it gets better. It maybe the touchdown numbers for Patrick isn't 50 or 5,000 yards passing, but I think our offense just continues to solidify and be better and better as we go. So that is definitely something to be excited about.
I would absolutely.
I really think Andy Reid was just warming up last year with his new toy and Patrick Mahomes. Again, Brent, Carlos Hyde, I'm telling you, he's going to play a big role in our offense. I know you don't want to believe me. I got a feeling he's going to be the one who's the veteran leader for our running back committee.
And
No, I mean, I understand. Any player that wants to step up and be good, I'm for.
yeah, that's depth.
I mean, I agree. You go back to when Alex Smith was running this offense, and Alex Smith has a hesitancy to throwing the ball down the field, and with Mahomes, you don't see that hesitancy. He's looking down the field. He's looking to make the big play, and what's there not to be excited about? We're talking. This is Mahomes' third year. Probably behind the same offense that he started, all last year. So we're coming into his second year as a starter. I mean, this guy is just, took me by storm. I mean, he has shocked me. And second year, and his first year he throws 50 touchdowns. I'm sorry, I'm not going to see a guy regress and throw 20 touchdowns and 12 interceptions or 14 interceptions. This guy's going to be pretty much a 30 to 40 to 50 touchdown every season, 4,000 to 5,000 yards. We do need whether it's Carlos Hyde, Damian Williams, or James Booby Williams. I love throwing that name out there. I think we've got a great team. Even if Hill doesn't play this season, I think our wide receiving crew is going to be, great.
Next
and that's
man up.
the quarterback.
Yeah, I have to completely agree. And I guess my thing is when you look at a Patrick Mahomes and you think about him regressing and not progressing from 50 to 50 touchdowns and 5,000 passing yards, when you think of him regressing, we're talking 45 touchdowns. You know what I mean? 4,500 yards. And that's going to be like the low ball season for Patrick Mahomes, I feel like. We have a quarterback who's really setting the standard for quarterbacks all around the league, and it's really exciting to watch in my mind.
If you go back to last year, and Patrick's worst game he had was against the Los Angeles Rams, where he single-handedly turned the ball over 5 times, but yet...
Whoops, he turned the ball over.
I think the big deal with... I think we lost Brent, but I want to jump in on that anyway. I was speaking with another gentleman about this earlier. That Rams game was so weird to me. It was definitely Patrick Mahomes' worst game, maybe, but it was also one of the best as well. He made a mistake, but he came right back in battle. And he might have made another mistake, got a little flustered, but he never quit. He had the drive the whole game. We just came up a little short at the end. And that's something that veterans who have played the quarterback position in the NFL for, years still can't get over. They make a bad...
All right, well, anyway, I'm continuing the Richard Smith Show because I'm having horrible problems with the audio, and I just want to finish this show up and get it out here. Look, the big thing is here on offense is we're really trying to just narrow in and focus on what we have going on with our starters and the depth. And look, our skill set players are really where they need to be. Everything is progressing nicely. Damian Williams did get named the starting running back. We're still wondering about Tyreek Hill and this and that. But in my mind, we're looking at position groups here, and I think the wide receiving group is the most important group that we're putting on the field this year. So with that being said, Kansas City, I'm going to end the broadcast here. It was a little shaky tonight with 3 people as the first time, and we definitely had some problems. So please check us out on every social media platform. This is the Richard Smith Show, where we talk about all things Kansas City Chiefs. We're here at the Kansas City Sports Update Studios. Check us out on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Player FM, YouTube, and all third-party applications. And if you cannot find us there, just Google The Richard Smith Show and Kansas City Chiefs, and you will find us.